Thank you. I'd like to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for coming out today to march with us and to support this movement. What we're doing here today is not something that everybody will forget about in a week. This is not something that flies under the radar and goes unnoticed. What we're doing here today will go down in history, the day that we came together and demanded change. We will no longer be quiet when a tragedy strikes as a result of gun violence. We will no longer be ignored by our representatives on the issue of gun control. Today marks the day that we rise up and make our voices heard. I am sick and tired of unnecessary violence, and I am appalled by the lack of action from representatives who are supposed to speak for us. It is shameful that so many politicians place money from the NRA over the lives of people they are supposed to represent. The NRA has been fooling its members for years. Their primary purpose is not to defend the Second Amendment, and they do not represent gun owners. They represent gun manufacturers and have profited off of the same weapons used to gun down innocent children. And these gun manufacturers refuse to do anything about these shootings. Their solution is to promote legislation that puts guns in the hands of more people, which in turn makes them more money. Anyone who profits off of the deaths of children should be absolutely disgraced. And I wonder how those gun manufacturers and their lobbyists at the NRA sleep at night. The NRA fights for the right to bear arms. We fight for the right to live without fear of being gunned down, to go to the movie theater without being shot, to go to a restaurant without being killed, to go to school without being murdered. We need change, and we need reform to ensure the safety of not just students, but everyone. We will not settle for baby steps towards gun reform. No, for anybody who thinks that is sufficient, you are wrong. We want extensive reform, and we want change. We don't want to hear that this is a mental health issue, because it is not. We don't want to hear that we need more guns, because we don't. It must not be so easy to purchase a gun in the United States, and that is the bottom line. We must enact stronger background checks, raise the minimum age to buy a gun, ban deadly attachments such as the bump stock, and most importantly, ban the assault rifle. There is no need to own a weapon of war, and the presence of such a weapon only causes devastation and pain. As for arming teachers, I have never heard such an ignorant and destructive proposal in my entire life. We are a first world country, and no first world country should ever have to arm its teachers in order to keep students safe. If our elected officials aren't willing or capable to take the steps necessary to protect us, then you have failed your primary purpose in government, and I advise you to stand aside and clear the way for someone who is willing to fulfill that purpose. For the politicians who refuse to act on this issue, I have a message for you. Every second that you stand by and do nothing, innocent children are murdered, and we will do everything in our power to make sure you never set foot in a congressional office again. Because we are the majority. The majority of Americans do not own a gun. That is a fact. The majority of Americans want more restrictions on guns. That is a fact. And in a representative democracy, the majority should prevail. So why are we being ignored? Why are we not being heard? We're not doing enough. We are not doing enough. We need to get out, and we need to make our voices heard. We need to vote for candidates who are willing to take the steps necessary to protect us. We need to call our representatives, and if you believe you have what it takes, then you go out there and you run for office so you can be the one to make a change. And for all of our current representatives who acknowledge the fact that something must be done, I implore you to consider the ideas of the people you work for. Us, the American people. We must have gun reform in order to keep all people safe. And for everybody who has come out today to march with us, do not let this movement die. Speak with your reps, engage with your communities, vote. Do everything in your power to be a catalyst for change, because you have more power than you think. You can move mountains. Thank you.